Divorced men. What happened when your ex-wife saw your glow up after divorce? Story 1. 6 months after the divorce, I ran into my ex-wife at the most humiliating place possible, the grocery store in our old neighborhood. Except, it wasn't humiliating anymore. I'd dropped the weight I gained during the marriage. My skin cleared up. I got a new haircut. And for the first time in years, I wasn't wearing clothes I bought to blend in. I was wearing a fitted coat and carrying a basket like I actually belonged in my own life. She didn't recognize me at first. She walked past, then doubled back like her brain lagged. "Ethan," she said, eyes scanning me like I was a suspicious email. "Yeah," I smiled. "Hey, Claire." She laughed like it was a joke. "You look different." Translation, you look expensive. The thing is, the glow-up wasn't a revenge arc. It was a survival arc. I stopped drinking, started therapy, started running because I couldn't sleep. I got promoted because I wasn't constantly being told I was lucky anyone tolerates me. My life got quiet. And quiet turned into better. Claire's smile slipped into that familiar expression she used when she wanted something without saying it. "So, how have you been?" "Good," I said. "Really good." She stared at my cart. "Protein. Fresh stuff. Flowers." She raised an eyebrow like she'd caught me cheating. "Who were the flowers for?" "Me," I said, dead serious. "My place looks nicer with them." That's when her face did something I'll never forget. Like her mind tried to re-download the version of me she used to control. And it just wasn't compatible anymore. 2 days later, she texted, "I've been thinking about us. Maybe we rushed things. We were married 9 years. I didn't answer. Then she called. Then she accidentally mailed a box of my stuff to my apartment. Inside was our wedding photo, and the hoodie she used to steal when she wanted to be sweet again after a fight. I returned it with a note. "Thanks. Please don't send memories as bait." She showed up at my gym the next week, pretending it was random. She stood near the entrance, glossy hair, full makeup, holding a smoothie like a prop. "You go here?" she said. "No," I replied, wiping sweat off my forehead. "I live here." She laughed too loud. "We should catch up. I feel like I'm meeting you for the first time." I looked at her, really looked, and realized something brutal. She wasn't missing me. She was missing the power she had when I hated myself. "I'm not available," I said. "Not for coffee. Not for closure. Not for a sequel." Her eyes went sharp. "So you're just going to act like I didn't matter?" "You mattered," I said calmly. "You just don't get to matter again." The next day, she posted a selfie with a caption about healing from narcissists. I didn't even blink. I just went for a run and bought myself better flowers. Story 2. My ex-wife saw my glow up on accident because her new boyfriend hired me. I'm a contractor. Custom kitchens, bathrooms, the boring stuff that pays well if you don't panic. After the divorce, I threw myself into work like it was oxygen. I upgraded my portfolio, started wearing clean boots, and stopped apologizing for taking up space. Within a year, I had a wait list. One afternoon, I got a request. High-end condo remodel. Quick timeline. Big budget. I show up, ring the bell, door opens, and there she is. Not just my ex-wife. My ex-wife in leggings and a messy bun, holding a mug like she owned the world. Behind her was a guy in a tight polo shirt, grinning like he invented money. Her eyes widened so fast I thought she was going to choke. "Mark?" she whispered. I nodded like this wasn't insane. "Hi, Jenna." The boyfriend clapped my shoulder. "This is the guy I told you about. Best in the city. Dude's booked out for months." He said it like he was bragging about buying the last seat on a plane. Jenna's mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. "You do this?" "I do," I said, walking in. The condo smelled like new paint and denial. She followed me room to room, trying to wedge herself into the conversation. "So you're doing well," she said. "I'm doing fine," I replied. She kept staring at my arms like she'd never seen me lift anything heavier than her emotional baggage. At one point, she tried to joke, "Guess I shouldn't have said you'd never make it without me." I stopped measuring and looked at her. "Yeah, guess not." Her boyfriend didn't catch the tension. "Babe, show him the Pinterest board." She grabbed her phone with shaky hands and shoved it at me. Her nails were perfect. Her smile wasn't. I could practically hear her internal screaming. Why wasn't he like this when we were married? Why does he look calm? Then she did what she always did when she felt insecure. She tried to control the narrative. Later, while her boyfriend took a call, she cornered me near the balcony. "Are you seeing someone?" she asked quickly. "Not your business," I said. She blinked hard. "So you're still bitter?" I laughed, because that word was her favorite weapon. Bitter. Insecure. Small. "No," I said. "I'm not bitter. I'm booked." That night she texted me from an unknown number. "We could have had this life." I replied, "We could have, but you wanted someone you could look down on." The next morning, her boyfriend emailed me. We've decided to go with someone cheaper. Sure, cheaper. 3 weeks later, I saw the condo listing online. Recently remodeled. Needs TLC. And the best part? Jenna viewed my Instagram story at 2:13 a.m. for 7 days straight. Story 3. My glow-up wasn't muscles or money. It was custody. After my divorce, I didn't suddenly become a model. I didn't buy a sports car. I became a dad on paper and in practice, because I finally had space to parent without getting criticized for breathing wrong. When we were married, my ex-wife Lacey treated me like the fun uncle who didn't know what he was doing. If I packed lunch, it was wrong. If I chose an outfit, it was embarrassing. If I handled bedtime, I was too soft. After the divorce, the judge gave us 50-50. Lacey smiled like she'd won, because she assumed I'd drown. Instead, my son thrived. I made routines. Not strict, just steady. Homework at the table, then we cooked together. We started going on Sunday walks. I stopped yelling because no one was provoking me into losing it. My kid started sleeping through the night. His teacher emailed me, to say his confidence was improving. That was the glow-up. My kid's eyes stopped looking tired. Lacey didn't notice at first. Then she started noticing the details. My son stopped flinching when adults raised their voices. He stopped begging to stay at dad's one more day. He stopped acting like love was something you earned by being perfect. One Friday at drop-off, she watched him run into my arms like I was a safe place. She stared at my apartment door like it was a portal. "You've changed," she said slowly. "I'm not fighting all the time," I answered. She smiled, but it wasn't warm. It was that smile people use when they're about to compete. "Well, I'm glad you're finally stepping up," she said, like she could rewrite the past and take credit. Then she tried to take it back. She started showing up early, acting friendly, bringing baked goods like a performance. She asked my son too many questions about my home. She started dressing differently at drop-offs, like she was auditioning for a role she'd already lost. One day she pulled me aside. "So," she said, twisting her keys, "do you ever think we could try again?" For him, I looked past her at my son, who was building a Lego tower on my living room floor, humming like the world wasn't dangerous. "No," I said, "we're better parents apart." Her face hardened. "So you're punishing me." And there it was. The glow-up she couldn't stand. I wasn't afraid of her accusations anymore. "I'm not punishing you," I said. "I'm protecting him." She tried court a month later, claiming I was alienating her. The mediator asked for evidence. Lacey brought feelings. I brought emails from teachers, pediatric notes, therapy reports, and a calendar of consistency. After the session, she whispered, furious, "You're doing this to make me look bad." I shrugged. "You did that part yourself." My son tugged my sleeve and asked if we could make pancakes. I said yes, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I needed to win. I already had. Story 4. My ex-wife saw my glow up at our friend's wedding and tried to claim it like it was her project. I almost didn't go. Weddings were our thing. She loved the speeches, loved the photos, loved pretending we were perfect while we fought in the car on the way home. But this time, I walked in alone. Not lonely, alone. I'd spent a year rebuilding. Therapy, new job, new circle. I stopped dressing like a man waiting for permission and started dressing like a man who made decisions. When I walked into that venue, I felt solid. Then I saw her. She was at the bar, holding a champagne flute like it was a microphone. When she noticed me, her entire posture changed, like she'd been preparing for a scene and the main actor just showed up. She did the full scan. Suit, watch, posture, smile. "Oh my God," she said loudly. "Look at you." People turned. I knew that tone. Public praise that was actually ownership. She grabbed my arm. "Guys, this is my ex," she announced, like she was introducing a dog she trained. "Isn't he doing so much better now?" I gently pulled my arm back. "Hi, Melissa." She leaned in, eyes bright with that dangerous mix of nostalgia and ego. "I always knew you had it in you," she said. I almost laughed. This woman told me I was dead weight 2 months before the divorce. Throughout the night, she hovered. Every time someone complimented me, "You look great. You seem happier. Congrats on the promotion." She jumped in. "I'm so happy for him," she'd say. We went through so much together, like my healing was a shared hobby. Then the real twist. During the speeches, the bride's sister took the mic and said, "I just want to thank Mark for being there when I hit rock bottom this year. I wouldn't be here without him." That sister was my girlfriend. Not a secret. Not a rebound. Just someone who met me after I stopped bleeding. My ex-wife's face went blank. After the applause, Melissa cornered me near the bathrooms. "Seriously?" she hissed. "You couldn't wait?" "I waited a year," I said. "You moved in with your coworker after 3 months. She flushed. That's different. It's not, I replied. Her voice got softer, more desperate. I didn't think you'd actually become this. I stared at her, because she finally said the quiet part out loud. She didn't think I was capable of becoming a man she'd respect. She reached for my hand. Maybe we made a mistake. And then my girlfriend walked up, slipping her hand into mine like it was natural. Because it was. Melissa's eyes flicked between us, and she forced a smile so tight it looked painful. Oh, she said, so that's why you changed. I shook my head. No. I changed because I was tired of surviving. She tried to laugh it off, but her voice cracked. Well, good for you. Then she walked back into the reception and got drunk enough to cry during the bouquet toss. I didn't watch. I danced with someone who didn't need me small to feel big. Story 5. My ex-wife didn't see my glow up in person. She saw it on LinkedIn, and it wrecked her. After the divorce, I went quiet. No dramatic posts. No new chapter captions. I just worked. I took a certification at night. Started mentoring juniors. Finally applied for leadership roles I used to talk myself out of because my ex-wife, Tasha, laughed every time I dreamed too loud. You're not a leader, she'd say. You're a helper. So I became a leader without telling her. One morning I updated my job title, Director of Operations. And my network did that thing where everyone suddenly remembered you exist. Messages. Congrats. Calls. Even an article from our industry newsletter with my photo in it. I forgot Tasha was still connected to me. Until she commented. Right under the post in front of everyone. So proud of you. I always believed in you. I stared at the screen like it was a hallucination. My friend texted, Dude, isn't that your ex? The one who said you were unambitious? I didn't respond publicly. I just removed her connection. Quietly. No drama. She noticed within minutes. She messaged me. Why did you remove me? I was being nice. Then, that was childish. Then, you're still mad about everything. I didn't answer. I went to dinner with coworkers, celebrated with people who actually knew what it cost. 2 days later, she emailed my work address. My work address. Subject. We need to talk. I replied once. Please don't contact me through my workplace. That's when she went nuclear. She posted a vague status. Funny how success changes people. Some forget who supported them. Support. Right. Then she called my mom. Told her she was worried about me. Said I'd become cold. Implied I was probably on something, because the old me would have begged for her approval. My mom told her, Honey, he's not cold. He's peaceful. You just don't recognize him. Apparently that sentence hit like a brick, because that night, Tasha showed up at my apartment. Not with rage, with panic. She looked tired. Real tired. I saw your post, she whispered. I didn't think you'd actually do it. What do you want? I asked. She swallowed. I want the man I married. I nodded slowly. He's gone. Tears filled her eyes. So that's it? You just get better and I get stuck? That was the moment I understood. She thought my glow up was an insult directed at her. It's not about you, I said. It never was. I just stopped shrinking. She stared at me like I'd spoken a different language. Then she did the thing she always did when she lost control. She tried one last bargain. If we tried again, she said, voice trembling, I'd treat you differently. I believed her. For about a month. But I also believed myself more. I opened the door. Goodbye, Tasha. She stood there, frozen, watching a life she thought she could pause and resume like a video. And when I closed the door, I didn't feel powerful. I felt free. Story 6. I didn't plan a glow-up. I planned to survive the silence after she left. The divorce was final, and I moved into a small apartment with mismatched plates and a mattress on the floor. Then I started doing boring things that saved my life. I woke up early. I lifted weights. I stopped eating like punishment. I cut my hair. I went to a barber who didn't ask questions, just fixed what stress had wrecked. 8 months later, my ex-wife saw me at our niece's birthday party. She walked in late, loud, wearing the same smile she used to wear when she wanted the room to bend around her. Then she saw me and stalled, like her high heels hit an invisible step. Whoa, she said, eyes going wide. Okay, I did not expect this. I was holding a juice box, kneeling beside my niece, helping her open a gift. I stood up and she did that scan. Face, shoulders, posture, calm. The version of me she remembered always looked tired, always looked like he was about to apologize. You look really good, she said. Then, instantly, like she couldn't stand the compliment existing without a hook. So you're dating someone, right? Yeah, I said. Her smile twitched. I knew it. The funny part? I wasn't dating anyone. I just wanted her to stop treating my life like an unlocked phone. She leaned closer, voice low. Is she pretty? I shrugged. She's kind. That hit her harder than pretty ever could. She laughed, but it sounded sharp. Must be nice. Some of us don't have time to reinvent ourselves. I nodded. Yeah. Some of us were forced to. Later, she cornered me by the kitchen while everyone sang happy birthday. Listen, she whispered. I've been thinking, I might have been too hard on you. I looked over her shoulder at my niece making a mess with frosting, at my sister smiling, at a room that felt safe without her opinion running it. You weren't too hard, I said quietly. You were just wrong. Her eyes narrowed, offended. Wrong about what? About me, I said. About what I could become once I stopped asking for permission. After that party, she started watching my social media stories like it was her job. Then she texted, I miss our laughs. Then, I had a dream about you. Then, maybe we should talk like adults. I left her on red. The next family gathering, she showed up with a new guy. Tall, loud, trying to peacock. She kept glancing at me to see if I'd react. I didn't. When she finally snapped, it wasn't loud. It was a whisper through clenched teeth. How are you so calm? I smiled. Because you're not my problem anymore. Story 7. My ex-wife saw my glow up through the one thing she couldn't manipulate. A paycheck. During the marriage, she handled the finances, which really meant she handled the story. If I asked about savings, she'd roll her eyes. If I suggested investing, she'd say I was trying to feel important. When we divorced, I found out we were drowning in debt she never told me about. That humiliation lit a fire I didn't know I had. I took a second job, cleared my credit, learned budgeting like it was a language, and started a tiny side business fixing up old motorcycles. I didn't post about it. I didn't brag. I just stacked wins quietly like bricks. A year later, my ex-wife texted me out of nowhere. Did you change jobs? I replied, why? She sent a screenshot. Child support recalculation notice. Her payments dropped. Because I was earning more. She called immediately. So you're making money now? Her tone was half disbelief, half accusation. Of course you start trying after I leave. I started trying after I found out you spent our mortgage money on self-care weekends, I said. Silence. Then the classic pivot. Okay, wow. So you're still obsessed with the past? No, I said. I'm just finally reading it. 2 weeks later, I got an email from my bank. Someone tried to access my account. Password reset attempts. Security questions. It was clumsy, angry desperation. I knew it was her because she used the same security answer she forced me to pick years ago. Her dog's name. I locked everything down and didn't say a word. Then she showed up at the exchange point when I dropped off our son. She was wearing perfume I remembered. Like scent could time travel. Hey, she said softly. You look good. Healthier. Thanks, I said, buckling my kid into her car. She lingered. You know, I've been under so much stress. And I miss having someone steady. I closed the car door gently. Then be steady. Her face fell. So that's it? You don't care? I met her eyes. I care about our son. I care about my peace. I don't care about rebuilding the same house that burned me down. She swallowed hard. You used to be easier. I smiled. Yeah? That was the problem. As she drove off, my son waved at me through the window. I waved back. My glow-up wasn't a new watch or a new body. It was finally being unbuyable. Story 8. She saw my glow-up at a funeral. That's not a joke. My ex-wife and I had been divorced for 2 years when her dad passed away. And I went because her mom called me, crying, saying, he always loved you. I didn't go to play hero. I went because grief turns people into raw truth. When I walked into the church, she looked up from the front row and froze. Her face did that complicated thing. Shock, memory, and something dangerously close to regret. I'd changed since the divorce. Not just physically. I held myself differently. I didn't look like a man bracing for criticism. I looked like a man who'd forgiven himself. After the service, she approached me near the photo board. Her voice was quiet. You came. Of course, I said. I'm sorry. She stared at me like she was trying to find the crack she used to press her thumb into. You seem okay. I am, I said. Her mouth trembled. I'm not. I waited. No advice. No rescue. That used to be my role. Fixing her storms while mine flooded silently. She whispered, I didn't think you'd still care. I care, I said. Just differently now. At the reception, she kept hovering, half crying, half watching me talk to old family friends who greeted me warmly. Her uncle slapped my shoulder and said, Man, you look great. Divorce suits you. She heard it. Her eyes sharpened. Later, she pulled me outside into the cold air, like she needed privacy for what she was about to confess. I messed up, she said, breath shaking. I was horrible to you. And now I'm alone and my dad is gone and she stopped, waiting for me to step back into the old script. Comforting, forgiving, promising. I didn't. I said. I'm sorry you're hurting. Her eyes filled with tears. That's it? That's what I can give, I answered gently. I can't be your husband again. She shook her head like she couldn't accept the math. But you're better now. You're the version I needed. I looked at the night sky over the church parking lot. I became this because you broke me. She flinched. And I healed, I continued, because I finally stopped believing you were the only one who could decide my worth. She covered her face, sobbing. I didn't feel victory. I felt distance. Before I left, her mom hugged me and whispered, "Thank you for being a good man." My ex-wife watched us, and I saw it. She wasn't mourning just her dad. She was mourning the life she threw away. Story 9. My ex-wife saw my glow up because her friend tried to set me up. After the divorce, I kept my head down. Gym, work, sleep, repeat. I didn't want drama. I didn't want dating. I wanted quiet. Then one day, I got a DM from my ex-wife's best friend, Sasha. Hey, it read. This is going to sound weird, but I ran into you on my recommended contacts and you look good. Like, healthy good. Want to grab coffee? I stared at the screen, laughing out loud. The audacity. The mess potential. I replied, Are you serious? She answered, Yeah. And before you ask, no, she doesn't know. I should have said no. I didn't. I agreed to coffee in a public place because curiosity is a disease. Sasha showed up dressed like a Pinterest board. She sat down and immediately blurted, Okay, first of all, I owe you an apology. We were awful to you. We? I asked. She nodded, wincing. Yeah. We fed her ego. We made you the villain because it was easier than admitting she can be. A lot. That was the first honest sentence I'd heard from anyone in her circle in years. Coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into a few dates. Nothing serious, but enough to make me realize I wasn't broken. I was just constantly being told I was. Then, the inevitable happened. My ex-wife found out. She didn't text me. She texted Sasha. Then she texted me from a new number like a spy in a bad movie. Are you actually sleeping with my best friend? I replied. You left me. You don't own the aftermath. She called me immediately, screaming. You're doing this to hurt me. I laughed. Not meanly, just genuine. I didn't even think about you. That made her go quiet, like she'd been slapped. 2 days later, she showed up at Sasha's apartment while I was there. She banged on the door. When Sasha opened it, my ex-wife looked past her and locked onto me. Her voice dropped into a trembling whisper. You look good. Then her eyes went wet. So you can be like this, just not for me? I stepped forward, calm. I was always capable. You just rewarded the version of me that felt small. She turned to Sasha, furious. How could you? Sasha crossed her arms. How could you? My ex-wife's face crumpled. She wasn't prepared to be outnumbered in a room where she used to be queen. She left sobbing, and the hallway went silent. Sasha looked at me and said softly, I think she just realized you weren't the problem. I nodded. Yeah, and for the first time since the divorce, I felt something weirdly peaceful. Her regret was finally her responsibility. Story 10. My ex-wife saw my glow up on the night she tried to embarrass me publicly. It was our mutual friend's holiday party. One of those, everyone from the old life is here events I usually avoid. But I went because I refused to let my past shrink my present. I walked in wearing a clean sweater, nice boots, confident posture. Not flashy, just upgraded. She was already there, perched on a couch like she owned the room. The moment she saw me, her eyes lit up with a cruel idea. Oh, wow, she said loudly. Look who finally learned how to dress. A few people laughed awkwardly. She fed off it. I smiled. Hey, Nina, she tilted her head. So what is this? Midlife crisis? New you? No, I said, grabbing a drink. Just me. Without the constant insults. The room went quiet in that subtle way where everyone suddenly pretends to check their phone. Her smile faltered, but she tried to recover by turning it into a joke. Relax, I'm kidding. You used to be so sensitive. I nodded. Yeah? I was trained that way. Someone actually snorted. Not at me, at her. Her cheeks flushed. She tried again, softer now, like she was switching tactics mid-game. Seriously though, you look good. I'm happy for you. Thanks, I said. I'm happy too. That's when she did the thing that used to work. She stepped closer, dropped her voice, made it intimate. We were good together, you know. We were comfortable, I corrected. Her eyes sharpened. So you're dating someone? Yep. She breathed out sharply. I knew it. Who? I glanced across the room where a woman was laughing with my friends. Someone I'd met months ago. Someone kind. Someone who didn't turn love into a test. Before I could answer, Nina grabbed my wrist like a claim. You're really going to parade her here? I gently removed her hand. I didn't parade anything. I showed up. Her voice cracked, anger tipping into panic. You're doing this to make me look stupid. I leaned in just enough for her to hear me clearly. You don't need my help. Her face went pale. And then the boom moment happened. She tried to save face by announcing to the room, he thinks he's so perfect now, but you guys don't know what he was like in the marriage. I turned toward everyone, calm as ice. If anyone wants the truth, I said, I have the divorce mediation notes and the texts where she threatened to ruin my career if I left. Dead silence. Nina's mouth opened, but nothing came out. For once, she had no script. My friend quietly said, Nina, is that true? She looked around, realizing the room wasn't hers anymore. Not the story, not the crowd, not me. She grabbed her coat and stormed out into the winter night. I didn't chase. I didn't smirk. I just walked over to the woman across the room, took her hand, and felt the strangest, sweetest thing. Not revenge. Relief. Story 11. My ex-wife saw my glow up at the airport, while she was being pulled out of the security line. We divorced because she needed freedom. Translation. She needed a life where consequences were optional. After the split, I rebuilt quietly. New job in cyber, steady gym routine, better sleep, better posture, the kind of calm you only get when nobody's yelling at you for existing. A year later, I'm flying out for a conference. Early morning, coffee in hand. I hear a familiar voice behind me, sharp, entitled, Arguing with TSA. I'm not taking it off, she snapped. It's designer. I turned slightly and there she was. My ex, Kira, clinging to a jacket like it was a court order. A TSA agent calmly repeated, Ma'am, you need to step aside. Kira huffed, then saw me. Her face did a full system crash. She blinked like she'd found a glitch in reality. Evan? I nodded, polite. Hey! She stared at my suit jacket, my carry-on, my calm. You're traveling? Yeah, I said. Work. She laughed too hard. Of course. You always loved work. I didn't correct her. I used to love peace. The TSA agent asked again and Kira snapped, Can you believe this? Like she expected me to join her tantrum. When I didn't, her eyes narrowed. So you're just going to stand there? She demanded. I smiled softly. I'm not your husband anymore. I don't fix your scenes. That sentence landed like a slap. Her lips parted, and for a second she looked small. They pulled her aside. I watched her fumble with her bag, frantic now, like she'd realized the world won't pause because she's mad. And then she did what she always did when she felt powerless. She tried to charm. Evan, she called, voice suddenly sweet. Wait, can we talk? Just 5 minutes. I checked my boarding time. No. Her face cracked. What happened to you? I stopped negotiating my dignity, I said. She stepped closer, eyes glossy. You look good. Like, really good. Why couldn't you do this when we were married? I leaned in just enough for her to hear the truth without making a show of it. I was exhausted trying to be lovable to someone who only liked me when I was insecure. Kira's eyes darted around, searching for a comeback, a villain line, anything. Nothing came. I walked away toward my gate. Behind me, I heard her raise her voice again, because that was her only language when she didn't get control. At the gate, I sat down, sipped coffee, and watched my phone light up with her first text in a year. I think I made a mistake. I didn't answer. My flight was boarding, and I had somewhere better to go than back. Story 12. She saw my glow up in court. Not divorce court, small claims. After our divorce, my ex-wife, Brooke, kept my name on a joint utility bill by accident. Then the bills started stacking up. Then my credit took a hit. When I confronted her, she cried, swore she didn't know, promised she'd fix it. She didn't. So I filed. Quietly. Cleanly. With receipts. The day of the hearing, I walked in wearing a simple button-down, haircut, shoulders back. I'd lost weight, gained muscle, and, most important, gained spine. My lawyer friend said I didn't even need representation, just evidence. Brooke showed up late, dramatic, mascara perfect, clutching a folder like a prop. She saw me and slowed down, confused. You look, she started. Prepared, I said. Her eyes flicked to my documents, printed emails, screenshots, payment history. She tried to laugh. Wow, you're really doing all this over a few bills? Over a year of my life being sabotaged, I corrected. In the hallway, she leaned close, voice low. We can settle. You don't have to embarrass me. I smiled. You embarrassed yourself when you ignored the first 12 messages. Inside, the judge asked for facts. I gave facts. Brooke gave feelings. I was going through a hard time, she said, voice trembling on cue. I didn't mean for it to happen. The judge looked at her. Did you respond to his request to remove him from the account? Brooke hesitated. I was overwhelmed. I slid a paper forward. These are the timestamps of my requests. And these are her replies. The replies were exactly what she used to send me in marriage. Stop being dramatic. You always do this. The judge read them, eyebrow rising. Brooke's face tightened, and I saw her realize something terrifying. The tricks that worked on me didn't work in a courtroom. When the judge ruled in my favor, Brooke stared at me like I'd betrayed a secret agreement. Outside, she caught up, furious and shaky. "So this is who you are now?" she hissed. "Cold? Petty?" I looked at her, really looked, and felt nothing but clarity. "I'm the guy who finally believes himself." Her eyes went wet. I didn't think you had it in you." I nodded. "I know." That line destroyed her. She stood there in the courthouse lobby, blinking fast, like she wanted to rewind time to when I'd apologize for existing. I walked out into sunlight with my paperwork in hand and my credit on the way back. My glow-up wasn't aesthetic. It was legal. Story 13. My ex-wife saw my glow-up because her new husband tried to big brother me. We were divorced for almost 2 years. I was doing better. Therapy, gym, new friends, real sleep. Meanwhile, she rushed into a new marriage with a guy named Dean, who posted motivational quotes and called everyone bro. One day, Dean texted me. Not about the kids. Not about scheduling. He texted, "Hey man, as the new head of the household, I think we should have a talk about boundaries." I stared at it for a full minute. Then I replied, "Sure. Pick a time during business hours. Since you're not my boss, just my ex's hobby." He called immediately, angry. "Watch your mouth. She's my wife, and she's still the mother of my kids," I said. "So let's keep it adult." We met at a coffee shop. Dean showed up in a tight blazer, chest out, trying to dominate the space. My ex-wife came too, pretending it was casual, but her eyes kept darting over me like she didn't recognize the upgraded version. Dean started with a speech. "I just want respect. The kids need stability. And you need to understand she has a real man now." I sipped my coffee. "You done?" He blinked. "Excuse me? You asked for boundaries," I said calmly. "Here are mine. You don't contact me unless it's about the kids. You don't speak for her. And you don't threaten me with your ego." My ex-wife's face twitched. She'd expected the old me, quiet, apologetic, easy to step on. Dean leaned forward. "You think you're tough now?" I smiled. "No. I think I'm boring now. Boring men are consistent. They show up. They pay on time. They don't need speeches." That's when my ex-wife finally spoke, voice strained. "You've changed." "Yeah," I said. I healed. Her eyes shined like she was about to cry, but she snapped instead. "So you're trying to make me look like the bad guy." I tilted my head. "I didn't bring you here." "He did." Dean went red. "Don't talk to her like that." I stood, calm. "I'm not talking to her like anything. I'm talking to you like a stranger who needs to learn his lane." The boom wasn't yelling. The boom was the silence afterward. Because they both realized the same thing. I wasn't intimidated anymore. As I walked out, my ex-wife whispered, almost to herself, "He used to beg." I didn't turn around. I didn't beg. I just left them sitting there with the uncomfortable truth that my glow-up wasn't muscles. It was boundaries. Story 14. She saw my glow-up on a date with the guy she cheated with. Yeah. My ex-wife cheated on me with a bartender named Luca who had perfect hair and zero depth. She left, told everyone I was emotionally unavailable, and posted selfies like she'd escaped prison. I disappeared. No rant posts. No subtweets. I grieved like a ghost. Then I built a new life. I started a small fitness routine, took a course, changed careers into sales, started smiling again without forcing it. A year later, I went on a first date with a woman named Tori at a rooftop restaurant. 10 minutes in, I hear a voice behind me. "No way!" I turned. My ex-wife, standing there in a clingy dress, holding Luca's hand. Luca looked at me like he recognized the face from an old mistake. My ex-wife's eyes did that hungry thing, like she'd seen something shiny that used to belong to her. "Dylan," she said, too sweet. "Wow, you look great." Tori glanced between us. "Friend? Ex," I said calmly, not even embarrassed. "We're all good." My ex-wife's smile tightened. "So you moved on?" "Yep." She looked at Tori's hand on my arm and something in her snapped. She laughed loudly. "Good luck," she said to Tori. "He's really good at pretending." Tori raised an eyebrow. "Pretending what?" My ex-wife leaned closer, voice dripping poison. "That he's happy. That he's confident. It's all an act." I smiled, and it wasn't mean. It was pity. "You're doing this at a restaurant." Her cheeks went red. Luca tugged her. "Babe, come on." She ignored him and stared at me. "You never looked like this when you were with me." I took a breath. "Because when I was with you, I was trying to earn love instead of living." Then the boom. Luca muttered under his breath. "He's not wrong." My ex-wife whipped her head at him. "What did you just say?" Luca shrugged, annoyed. "You're being embarrassing." She turned back to me, but now her eyes were wet. "So you're really better now?" I nodded. "Yeah." She looked at Tori again, desperate to land one last hit. But Tori smiled politely and said, "Thanks for the warning. It's nice to see a man who doesn't flinch when someone tries to ruin his night." My ex-wife's mouth opened, closed. She walked away furious, dragging Luca like luggage. Tori squeezed my hand. "You okay?" I laughed softly. "I'm more than okay." That was closure served with appetizers. Story 15. My ex-wife saw my glow up through my mother's funeral speech. My mom passed away unexpectedly the year after the divorce. I was wrecked. But I did the planning, the calls, the logistics, because grief doesn't cancel responsibility. Mom had always been the one person who saw me clearly, even when my marriage made me doubt myself. My ex-wife came to the funeral. I didn't invite her. She just showed up, dressed in black, eyes shiny, acting like we were still connected. When I walked up to speak, my hands didn't shake. My voice didn't crack on every word. I spoke like someone who'd been through hell and learned how to stand in it without collapsing. I told stories about my mom's kindness, her blunt honesty, the way she'd slap the table and say, "Stop calling yourself stupid. Your wife is just loud." A few people chuckled quietly. My ex-wife stiffened. After the service, she cornered me near the flowers. Her voice was soft and trembling, like she was auditioning for forgiveness. "I didn't know you had that in you," she whispered. I looked at her. "A spine?" She flinched. "I mean, you seemed so broken when we divorced." I nodded slowly. "I was. Then I healed." Her eyes darted over me like she was taking inventory. The calm face, the steady voice, the way I didn't beg for comfort. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "For everything." I believed she meant it. That's what made it complicated. Then she added, almost automatically, "If your mom were here, she'd want us to fix it." That's when my grief turned cold. "My mom," I said quietly, "would want me to be loved properly." Her tears spilled. "I can love you properly now." I shook my head. "You don't get to practice on me after you failed the first time." She grabbed my sleeve. "Please. I feel like I lost the best thing I had." I gently removed her hand. "You did." The boom wasn't shouting. The boom was her collapsing right there by the memorial table. Because for the first time, she couldn't blame my mom, or my job, or my mood. She could only face the fact that I'd become the man she claimed she wanted, and she still didn't get access to him. I walked away to hug my aunt, to thank guests, to survive my loss. And when I finally got into my car alone, I cried for my mom, not for my ex. That was the glow-up, knowing the difference. Story 16. My ex-wife saw my glow-up because she tried to check on me at my lowest, and found me at my highest. Right after the divorce, I went quiet. No dating, no parties. Just work and gym and sleep. I stopped drinking, stopped complaining, stopped asking mutual friends what she was doing. I wanted my life back. Apparently that bothered her. So she did what she always did when she felt her grip slipping. She showed up with concern as a disguise. One Sunday afternoon, she rang my doorbell. I opened the door and saw her holding a sad little bag of groceries like a peace offering. "Hey," she said softly. "I was in the area. I just wanted to make sure you're okay." Behind her, I could see her car idling like she expected to stay. I glanced down at the groceries. "You think I'm starving?" She forced a laugh. "No, I just know you. You get depressed." "I used to," I said. Her eyes flicked past me into my apartment. It was clean, warm, plants by the window, a framed photo of me and my brother at a marathon finish line. Not the chaotic cave she'd imagined. "You redecorated," she said, like I'd committed a crime. "I started living," I replied. That's when she noticed the calendar on the wall. Race dates, work trips, goals written in neat handwriting. She blinked, confused. "Since when are you organized?" "Since nobody mocks me for trying," I said, calm. Her smile hardened. "So you're saying this is my fault?" I shrugged. "I'm saying I'm happier without you." That sentence hit her like a door slam. She switched tactics instantly, voice turning sweet. "You look good. Like, really good. It suits you." "Thanks," I said, still not inviting her in. She leaned closer, eyes wet. "I've been thinking about us." I nodded slowly. "You mean you've been thinking about you?" Her face tightened. "That's not fair." I held her gaze. "You didn't come here to apologize. You came here to see if I'm still broken." Silence. Then the boom moment. She snapped, loud enough for a neighbor to glance over from the hallway. "Fine. I wanted to know if you were going to be miserable without me." I smiled. Not smug, just clear. "Bad news." She stared at me like she hated that I wasn't reacting. "So what, you're perfect now?" "No," I said. "I'm peaceful." She stood there shaking, then dropped the groceries at my feet like a tantrum in a bag. "Whatever," she spat and walked away. I closed the door, picked up the groceries, and laughed softly because the funniest part? She brought me ingredients for dinner. Even when she tried to control the story, she still ended up helping me eat. Story 17. My ex-wife saw my glow-up when her own glow-up collapsed in public. After we divorced, she reinvented herself loudly. New hair, new social circle, new boyfriend every few months. She posted motivational quotes about choosing herself like she was giving a TED Talk. I rebuilt quietly. Gym, therapy, new career, actual peace. 2 years later, we both ended up at the same charity gala because a mutual friend was honored. I almost didn't go, but I wanted to stop avoiding rooms like my past owned them. I walked in and people recognized me because I'd become someone. Not famous, just respected. Then she walked in, and she froze. She was dressed to the teeth, but something about her looked frantic, like her confidence was expensive and rented by the hour. When she saw me talking to a group of executives, laughing, relaxed, she literally stalled mid-step. She came over like she had a mission. Wow, she said, eyes wide. You're here. I smiled. Yeah. Congrats to Jenna, right? She tried to laugh. Of course you know her. Of course. Then she did the classic move. She touched my arm, like she could reconnect us with skin. You look amazing, she said. Seriously. I'm proud of you. I stepped back slightly. Thanks. Her eyes flashed. She didn't like that I didn't melt. We were mid-conversation when her current boyfriend, a flashy guy with a too-tight suit, stumbled over, clearly drunk. Babe, he slurred, wrapping an arm around her. Who's this? She straightened. My ex. The guy looked me up and down, then laughed. No way. You were her husband. People nearby heard. The air shifted. He kept going, loud and stupid. Man, she upgraded. My ex-wife forced a smile like she was on stage. Stop. He didn't. What, you gonna cry? He looks like he goes to bed at 9. I didn't react. I just watched. Then, the boom. One of the event organizers walked up and said, calm but firm. Sir, you're going to have to leave. Her boyfriend puffed up. Do you know who I am? The organizer nodded. Yes. You're the guy who's been cut off at the bar. Let's go. Everyone stared as he argued, stumbled, and got escorted out. My ex-wife stood there alone, face burning, dress perfect, life unraveling. She turned to me, eyes glossy. This is humiliating. I nodded. Yeah, she whispered, barely audible. You never would have done that to me. I looked at her. No, I would have apologized for you. That was the glow-up she couldn't handle. The fact I no longer carried her embarrassment like it was my job. She stood there shaking, and for the first time she looked at me like she'd lost something real. Because she had. Story 18. She saw my glow-up in the comments section. I know how that sounds, but hear me out. After the divorce, my ex-wife Lana tried to rewrite our story online. She posted a long rant about escaping a toxic marriage and tagged nothing but somehow everyone knew it was me. Mutual friends slid into my DMs with, "Are you okay?" Like I'd been in prison. Old me would have panicked. Old me would have defended myself, written paragraphs, begged people to see my side. New me? I said nothing. I kept training, kept working, kept building a life that didn't require public validation. Then one day, my company posted a photo of our team after we completed a major project. I'm in the middle, smiling, confident, looking like I belonged there. The caption thanked me by name for leading the rollout. The post blew up in our small industry circle. People congratulated me. People commented about how I seemed like a great leader. Even a former professor wrote, "Proud of you." And then Lana showed up. She commented, "So happy for you. You deserve it, Yellow Heart." I stared at it like it was a hostage note. Within minutes, someone replied, "Weren't you just calling him toxic?" Another person, "This is weird." Another, "Pick a lane." Lana deleted the comment. Then she DM'd me, "Why are people attacking me? You could have defended me." I laughed out loud. Out loud. I replied, "You wanted a villain. Congratulations." She sent, "You're so cold now." I answered, "I'm just not on your stage anymore." Then the boom. She made another post, trying to save face, saying, "It's sad when people get successful and forget the ones who supported them." My coworker, who had no idea who she was, commented, "Ma'am, we've never seen you at the office." My boss liked the comment. Lana deleted the whole post. That night she called me, voice shaking. "I didn't think you'd be like this." "Like what?" I asked. "Untouchable," she whispered. I paused. "I'm not untouchable. I'm just not reachable by manipulation." Silence. Then she hung up. I went back to my life, and the next morning I realized the glow-up wasn't the promotion or the photo. It was the fact that her narrative no longer controlled my reputation.